merge sort. Using this technique, we can merge the content of two sorted arrays to get a third array sorted in the required order. Consider two arrays A and B, A with m elements sorted in the descending order, B with n elements sorted in the ascending order. The third array, C, should be sorted in the ascending order. So you have descending, ascending, again ascending. So let us see the program code for this. So the logic is, first array, it is in the descending order, 73, 53, 14, 4, 3. Second array in the ascending order. Now your third array, which is in ascending order. So what you should be doing is, you should compare, because the first array, the smallest element will be in the last position as it has been sorted in the descending order. So you have to compare that element with the second array's first element, because second array is in the ascending order. Whichever is smallest will be stored onto your third array. Similarly, you will take the second element, you will look for the, from the back you will go. So you will take the second last element and compare it with the second element of second array. So whichever is smaller will be stored onto the third array. This is the logic of the program. Now, in the coding, you have to declare the first array, second array. Third array is of a bigger size because it is storing the content of first and second array. I and j are the indices k, m, n. So the size of the array is represented as m, the first array size. Now you read elements onto the first array. N as the size of the second array, you read elements onto the second array. So first array was entered in the descending order, second array in the ascending order. Now the variables, the indices of the first array represented by I, which will, because it is arranged in the descending order, you have the smallest element in the last position. So the array index I will be storing the last position. The second array is in the ascending order, so you have the smallest element in the first position. So the index is storing j equal to 0. The third array, you are starting to inputting from the first position. So you have 0. So you will start, because the first array is in the descending order, you will start from size minus 1 and will go up to 0. That's the first element. Second array is in the ascending order, which means from 0 you will go till end of the array, size of the array. So while both the conditions are true, you will get inside and you will check whether the first array's last element, I, is storing the last position. So last, because it's in the descending order, the last position you have the smallest element. If it is smaller than second array's first element, third array will be storing the value from the first array. So since the first array is going from last position, you decrement, and the third array index should be incremented. Suppose that was not true, then your third array will be storing the value from the second array. Automatically, second array's index has to be incremented and the third arrays has also to be incremented. Now, after you have copied all the elements, in case if you have the first array's index is not reached till 0, which means there are more elements to be fetched from the first array. So all the remaining elements one by one will store onto the third array, and each time you take an element from the first array, index has to be decremented, and as you store new elements onto the third array, its index has to be incremented. Similarly, if there are any left elements in the second array, that will happen when the array index is lesser than the size. Then you will be the remaining elements one by one you will take and store onto the third array. So automatically second array has to be incremented, third array also has to be incremented. Finally, you will display the merged array. Now there are different variations of this. This is a situation where first array is in the ascending, second array in the ascending, third one in the descending. So for this one, this is the first, all the three arrays are declared, third one with double the size, or the size of the third array will be size of first array plus size of second array. Index for first array, index for second array, for the third array, size of first array, size of second array. Read the size of first array and the elements in the ascending order. You can either read the elements directly in the ascending order, or you can write the statements to perform either bubble sort or selection sort to arrange the elements either in the ascending or descending order. Now the size of the second array. Now you are reading elements onto the second array. Now, since the first array is in the ascending, second one is also in the ascending, third one should be in the descending, which means the biggest element will be in the last position of first array. Similarly, the biggest element will be in the last position of second array also. So, first array's index will start from 0 and will store the biggest element onto that. So, since both arrays are starting from size -1, you can go up to 0 position in both the cases. Now, if the first array's element is greater than the second array's element, the third array will be storing the first array's value, because you need the biggest value in the first position of the third array, because third array is in the descending order. So suppose the last element of first array is not greater than the last element of the second array, then you come to the else portion and the second array's value is being copied onto the third array, and its index also has to be decremented as you are coming from size -1 and back. And the third array in all the cases will be incremented. So then if any remaining elements are there, that is being copied onto the third array. Similarly, any remaining elements are there in the second array, that is also copied onto the third array, and finally you display the merged array. This is another variation where you have the first array in the descending order, second array in the ascending order, and the third array, it should be in the, let us see what has been told about the third array. This is the condition. That is first array in the descending, second in the ascending, third should be in the descending, DAD. So let us see. So first array in the descending, third in the ascending, first in the descending, second in the ascending, and third should be in the, that is array C should be in the descending order. So only then it becomes DAD. So for that, you have to have the third array in the descending order. So the first array is arranged in the ascending order, which means you have the smallest element in the first position. Second array arranged in the descending order, which means you have the smallest element in the last position. So this is not actually DAD, this is slightly different logic. So what is being done over here is, first array you have the smallest element in the first position, so this is ascending. Then second array you have the smallest element in the last position, so this is again descending. And the third array you are going to check, that is first array's first element is greater than second array's last element. Then in that case you will be storing AO5, which means the third array is going to store in descending order. So this particular coding was actually for inputting in the ascending, descending, and the third one in the descending order. That how you understood this? The first array's first element is actually storing the smallest value because it was in ascending order. It is told here, it is in, the first array's first value is in the descending, second array is in the ascending order, and the third array they are expecting. So this is actually something like this: descending, ascending, and descending. Let us see whether it is that.